Very good morning and welcome back. You're still an Idea Morning Digest on Idea Television. Now we go to what's trending, looking at the story that has been making wave across social media platforms. Masquerade brutally assaults woman at Delta Festival. Masquerade brutally assaults a woman at Delta Festival. In a disturbing video trending across social media platforms, the Masquerade was seen brutally assaulting a woman in public during the Uhoawawe Cultural Festival in Delta State on the 20th of April 2026. The woman was beaten with sticks and flogged by the masked figure while onlookers watched. Festival organizers and some locals said the woman had been warned to stay indoors as part of the tradition. They claimed the victim disobeyed the custom and that the assaults followed long-standing rules of the event. No immediate arrest was made. The incident illustrates how certain Nigerian traditions expose people to violence and override personal safety. Masquerade groups operate with impunity because authorities rarely enforce the rule of law against them. Let's take a look at the video.
Angel! 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 Big Juju! Big Juju! Big Juju!
Well, that's a very depressing video to watch. This just drives my memory back to there was a festival that happened where women were being sexually assaulted as well. And I think this is the 21st century. Customs and traditions as opposed to the things that guides us to in behavior, in beliefs, in how we position ourselves as a group of people who are bounded together by a particular belief system that we've held onto for a number of years or decades or even centuries. But we've seen that time and again, these customs or traditions go against the principle of democratic system that we've now come to embrace as a country. And the establishment or the continuation of these customs or traditions or traditional rites or festivals or festivities should be held under the authority of the law. If the law does not allow you, perhaps you are part of a religious group or a customary tradition, if the law doesn't allow you to carry out justice on another person, if the law doesn't give you that power or authority to flog another person, then you have no right to say that your custom or your tradition gives you that right to continue with that kind of behavior. So this is a violation of the law, no matter how you want to talk about how this is a custom, that this is a tradition that we've been following on for 200 years. If a tradition has been there for 200 years and it doesn't serve the principles of the 21st century constitutional rights of a citizen, then it should be taken away. The custom should be changed, or the custom should be modified, or should be, whatever, overhauled. Whatever thing that needs to be done to ensure that people's lives are protected and women are not being subject of extortion, of torture, of harassment. That's what we need to do. And another aspect that I'm very most grateful about is the exclusion of the rule of law, where the relevant agencies are not rising up to the occasion. When things like this happen, you should see the police agency, you should see the state government, you should see different regulatory authorities come out and say that this is not right. You should come out and condemn it and ensure that due diligence is adhered to or followed to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to justice. You shouldn't just leave things and say that this is how they do it in tradition. Then if a particular masquerade is coming out, then all women should go inside. If you need to do it, then go to a particular stadium and ensure that the women will not come out in that stadium. Then don't sell tickets for the women to come out. Or if you want to do it in a particular community, cordon off the entire area. Say this is where we want to do our festival and this is where the masquerade is going to dance. In a particular community and you've cordoned off, you've gotten security agents and you let your masquerade display whatever they want to display, but you can't go to in a public setting, in an area where everybody can commute at whatever time that they want, in an area where you do not have the authority to declare a curfew for women, and you then say that any woman that you see on the road, you assault them, you beat them up. Look at the way the woman was being beaten up, and nobody could save her until almost she nearly fell into the gutter, into the drainage system, before somebody came to push the Masquerade away. I mean, if the woman has also taken law into her own hand and pushed the Masquerade into the gutter, it's a violence against the humanity. This is what I'm saying, and it's so sad how justice in this case never prevailed.
I don't know where to start from, but I have to start from somewhere because we have to talk about it. It's becoming a prevalent issue in Nigeria because I mean it's very much sad when we see cases like this, and then what she gets in her defense is people coming out to say she was warned, to stay at home. Because if we want to be clear with Nigeria's constitution, it guarantees every Nigerian the right to the dignity of their person, to the dignity of themselves, of themselves as an individual. And it says no citizen shall be subjected to any torture of any kind or any inhuman treatment. My question is even to Delta State Commissioner of Police. Wow, does Masquerade even have the, right to a person's, I don't know how to say it, to a person's immunity from criminal code? Because this is more like the Masquerades or traditional bodies saying that this person is a criminal for going against this tradition, this rule or this traditional right or whatever. And since when did the local custom become more like a superior to our fundamental human rights as citizens? I mean, this is a serious question that the police force should begin to ask themselves, because we cannot continue to romanticize tradition when tradition keeps on hurting us. When we cannot continue to romanticize violence as well by calling it tradition. It is wrong in all forms. And if your culture requires the blood or tears of somebody, whether be you a woman or a man, it's going to cause pain to anybody, then it is not a successful tradition. Then that culture belongs somewhere else, maybe in the museum, where people will go and look at it and say, this is what we practiced before. It's not allowed in 2026. We're in 2026 and there's freedom of right, and people are beginning to understand their rights more and more, and people should be able to respect people's rights as well. We saw this, like you pointed out, in Nazareth just last month in March, and we are seeing this again in April. This is I don't know, why were we even allowing masquerades to operate? I remember I traveled to Calabar, and myself and my dad were going out, and then we saw some masquerade and they were blocking his car. They were blocking it, and I was like, what is going on here? What is all of this? He says this small. He was so angry. He came out and it was like he was chasing them away. Like, is this small boys will just stand up and then they'll go and look for how they'll eat the next day. They just come out and start extorting people, and if you don't give them money, they'll start flogging you and all of those, because we're trying to get fruit and they were chancing us. And I was looking at, when that Ozoro thing happened, I was reading through Action Aid's data. Yes, they pointed out on that festivals are increasingly becoming hijacked by all of these area boys, all of these miscreants, and what should I even call them, and they are hiding behind culture, saying that masquerade is something that every traditional African society pay reverence to or give reverence to, but the fact that it is being misused and we are seeing all of this rubbish that is happening, it creates that legal gap. Even if we have all of these videos circulating, it's a good thing that we have all of these videos circulating and creating awareness. But is it creating the right awareness? That is another thing, because we rarely see arrest of these people. The police said that we're on top of it, we're on top of this, we're on top of that, and then at the end of the day, we've forgotten that the police is part of the society, is part of a culture. He has a tradition too, as well, to uphold to, or upheld to, or how should I put it? So these people are still human beings, but how do we need to create that boundary between the Nigerian law, the constitutional rights, and traditional rights? Because let's even go back. You mentioned something about customary law, because customary law, first of all, is not only valid if it is not, how should I put it, repugnant to natural justice or equity or good conscience. Because we've seen that in reality, most of these assaults and how should I call them, battery or beating or or what should I call them, are criminal offenses. So if something can be, if beating, if assault can be criminal offenses, then the repugnancy test has to be used by the Nigerian courts to customary laws as well. For customary laws as well, because for decades we've struck that sort of you know uh, I think we have traditional rules, we have constitutional rules, and but if a constitutional rule, if a traditional law rather violates human rights, then they should have that repugnancy test on that traditional law. That is where customary law should come in, because we've seen all of these things in Nigeria, and the fact that it is happening often time. I think there's one that happened in I think somewhere in the east. I've forgotten the name they call it, Ukeje or something. There's something they call them, and the Supreme Court have to, come on top of the be on top of the matter at that point in time, because I cannot say we will completely abolish tradition. That is not what I'm saying. But if a tradition is continuously hurting people, first of all, they will come out and tell you that we told them to stay at home. We did not tell them to stay at home. We did not tell this to not come out. We told this to not come out. I think it's a violation of woman rights too, not human this time. That you tell a woman to stay at home, because that is, you are violating the right to freedom of movement, and it's in our constitution as well. So while communities are coming out to argue for order, the state also has the sole authority to declare curfews and all of those things, and restrict movement. At least before traditionalists come out and say we want to recognize our culture, this is our tradition, this is what we need to do at this point in time. The states as well, they are the sole authority, they are the main authority, they are the ones that should say, okay, we are declaring a curfew, we are restricting movement at this point in time. Give a general information, awareness, let people go to media houses, tell them, announce, so people in so state or people in so place don't come out. This is what is going to happen at this point in time. You do not completely leave it to traditional institutions to tell people when to come out or when not to come out. I think what we are witnessing at this point in time is what you already say. We are weaponizing, sacredness in this part of the world, which is bad. We are weaponizing culture and tradition, which is bad, in the wrong way. And in any part of Nigeria, I've seen that most of this masquerade, I am a Nigerian, most of these, and I grew up being taught about tradition and culture, and I uphold to some of them. You understand? I like culture, I like tradition, so I cannot completely rule out tradition and culture. And I've grew up to know masquerade, as a symbol of control and social justice. But why are we misusing, what do they call it? Tradition, using masquerade, as a tool to increase gender-based violence in this part of the world. Is very, very wrong. I'm not saying this because I'm a woman. Even if I've seen videos where men are being beaten up because they were taxed by masquerades and they couldn't give them anything, and then they started beating them. These boys just go around, wear masquerade clothes and harass people. I think Delta State government in particular should do something about this. Delta State police or the IGP, whoever is on top of the security agency in the state, should do something about this. And this goes to other parts of Nigeria as well.
Indeed, and I must add that whatever rights that it's in the constitution that legitimizes their action or their existence, their continued existence to exist as a cultural or traditional traditional stage, because in some ways I see them as a playful community, upholding the rule and law of the tradition, upholding the sacredness, just like you mentioned as well. So whatever law that is in place that ensures their continuity does not supersede the law of every individual that they write. Where their law starts is where another person's, where their law ends is where another person's own begins. So your law that enables you to practice all of these traditional rites, all of these festival practices, ends somewhere. It doesn't infringe on another person's rights to movement in another part of the country. So you cannot, because you have that responsibility, you have that authority under the law, then you go about infringing on other people's rights and authority. And another aspect that I also want to mention is about the punishment. When I talk about punishment, people always say that, oh, let's just solve the case to ensure that nothing happened again. If the people in Ozoro, the men who committed that atrocity in Ozoro, were actually arrested, prosecuted, and sentenced, this young man who is under that cloak will not behave the way he has behaved. But because these people were not criminalized, these people were not subjected to
have they even paraded the people to us?
Paraded the people. They've not been subjected to pay for the crime that they've committed. So it's in some ways emboldening another masquerade in another state or still within the same state to say that they want to go out and commit the same thing, and I just feel whatever I'm wearing this cloak, I'm above whatever authority. If you see the president, will you remove your sticker? Will you not be shot at sight? So that's the thing we should say, that no matter how you say that, oh, whatever they're in the cloak, it's the spirit that is in them. Will the spirit go to the governor's office and go and disturb the governor's office? Will he not be arrested? The soldiers will make sure that they put you in their custody, and they use their shoe to match whatever spirit is left in you. The spirit will leave your body at once. But not to make light of the issue. It's just to show that whatever it is that you are behaving, or whatever it is that has taken over you, it is still under the Constitution of Nigeria. It is still under the federal constitution. Whether it is Sharia law, whether it is customary law, whether it is any traditional right or law, it is under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that gives people the right to movement, the right to association, the right to do whatever it is that they want to do. So you cannot use your own right to infringe on another person's right. And you mentioned very rightly as well, I must add quickly, that when festivals like this, when data has shown through Action Aid, through other civil society organizations, and through other security agencies that have also looked into security issues in Nigeria. You can remember the movie that Jadi Oshiberi did, where a masquerade was, the Eyo festival, was also used as one of the things that some elements would perhaps want to use to commit crime. And the custodians of that culture came out to say, we shouldn't do this, you shouldn't use our culture to perpetrate or to, in some ways, show what is happening or show us in a bad light, per se. And the argument from the film producers was that this is happening. This, you see people wear imam's clothes to commit crime. You see people wear pastor's clothes to commit crime. So all of crimes can be committed using whatever means or medium people have found convenient for them to use. So now that data has shown that these elements in the society are using masquerades to commit crime, that's why the government needs to be proactive to ensure that whenever there is a masquerade activity or there is a masquerade display, they should be able to ensure that the security agencies are also present, so that whatever spirit has taken over them do not, or whatever motive they are being led by, would not actually infringe on another person's rights. And if you need to be secluded in one area, go to that place and restrict movement in that particular location. You cannot go on the street and you say you're restricting movement on the highway, on the main road, whatever. What if there's an emergency that people need to go to the hospital, or things need to happen, movement needs to continue, trade needs to continue without being prohibited because of your own law. So all of these are the things that security agencies must ensure that they also participate in activities or customary traditions like this, so that it will prevent people from using it to commit crime, to commit atrocity, to commit assault against women and men as well, just like you've mentioned. But that's as much as we can take for the conversation this morning. Thank you for being a part of it. You can continue the conversation by following us across our social media platforms, share your thoughts, and catch up with all the other segments, the discussion segment, and also the news across the headline segment that we've all shared while on their Dear Morning Digest. But we're going to leave you today with what's on the updates on the weather report. My name is Adewale Olashipon. I've been with Cynthia Bassi Eja. I'll add Eja. I'll add Eja for you, but it's been wonderful. I've been with you this morning. Do join us tomorrow, same time, same station, where you can catch up on Morning Digest to follow up with all the conversation that we have for you. Follow up, we still have more programs coming your way. Bye for now.